Alright everyone, hello, and welcome back. This is some footage I took from E3. This is some footage of the E3 Code Vein gameplay that was available to us. Not too much new here. We've got ourselves a new map, and I played the network test, and I can't say that I've necessarily memorized what monsters were moving around the map, but I think we might have some new guys there. Boss, unfortunately, isn't new. If you did play the network test to completion, there was a secret boss, kind of secret, like semi-locked away boss that we'll get to see in this playthrough. You can see I'm going through. I am just kind of reconfiguring. I'm going to go for a single sword setup here, making sure I'm linking all of the decent buff skills as well as attack skills to my skill tree here. You may all know this game. This is a game that's normally thought of or referred to as Anime Dark Souls. It's got a lot in common with Anime Dark Souls. It's also got a lot in common with God Eater, apparently. Can't say I ever really played the God Eater series super extensively. It always looked interesting, but my thing is always, if I'm going to play a Monster Hunter-like game, I'm just probably going to play Monster Hunter. Maybe someday we'll try God Eater out. I don't know. At least in terms of this being kind of like a Dark Souls game, I mean, you're moving around a lot faster. I mean, some of your weapons do have a very deliberate quality to them. Some of the enemy attacks, of course, have very deliberate attack openings and somewhat, but you can tell already it is A, of course, much faster. B, they give you a lot more abilities. I mean, you can see on that sidebar there, the way you can link things up there, you can link new attacks. So, attacks that you build up by just increasing the amount of available gauge. You can see that little 4 out of 20, 5 out of 20. As you attack monsters and then as you kill them, that gauge will increase. So there are some abilities that can heal you, some abilities that give you defense, some abilities that increase your overall attack ability. And so learning to manage that, on a rather continual basis. Like some things that I always try to keep up during the beta here is there's an ability that increases your defense, and there's an ability that just increases your base attack. Kind of boring, but effective, But I like that. I like boring but effective things that just make your overall combat ability better. So this is the analog to a backstab on a monster. Not only do you do a ton of damage to them, you also end up getting a lot of gauge regenerated, and you also increase your maximum amount of energy there. I'm sorry if that's not the proper name for it, by the way. That's what I'm going to call it, but I have no idea whether it's energy or what. Kind of gives you a good risk-reward mechanic as you're running around. Of course, you have instant heal and then heal over time items that you can use that get regenerated when you sleep, but when you sleep you do lose that maximum energy cap. So the longer you're able to go while being able to do those backstabs on enemies or anything else that like launches them into the air and then you're able to eat them with your little Code Vein ability. I'm not sure if I show off or not. You can see that's a combo there that I just pulled off. See, now we're up to 8 out of 24. One thing I do like about this game, and maybe it's because I just never really got super good in Dark Souls, but in this game, you definitely have many more opportunities to kind of charge up your strong attacks. Enemies are semi-invincible while they're on the ground and getting up, so while normally you would want to just continue to whack at them while they're on the ground, this game kind of gives you a little bit of an incentive to kind of hold off a little bit, charge up your R2 attack, and then hit them right as they stand up. This map design is a little bit different than what we're used to. We were like in a cave before, and then like in a postmodern sort of cityscape looking area. This looks like straight out of hell, I guess, some sort of heavily demonized area. And I could just imagine, like, if the full game has large procedurally generated or just large handcrafted areas that have, you know, semi-procedurally generated enemy placement or just large diverse areas of enemy placement, it add a lot of replay value. You know, the base enemies in this game are all pretty fun. I mean, you can see they deal pretty decent damage. So they stand at least a little bit more. You can see there I trying to do the launch attack. I don't know why. If you're not in the full, I don't know what they call it, Code Vein mode, critical mode, active mode, or whatever. Enemies go into that too. You'll see like a flashing blue bar. You get stronger, faster. I don't know if you get more iframes, but you're able to do a special attack that deals more damage, and then it also increases your energy gauge by a little bit. See here, I'm using the ability that increases my evasion, so I'm like scooting around like magic. Which is helpful. As you are evading enemies, you get closer and closer to getting into that critical mode that you can see this enemy's in right now. And there's that ability I was talking about before. You can see it does increase my total count, so I'm up at a 7 out of 23. You see, this run's actually going pretty well. You only have 15 minutes per run, though. It's pretty common for the E3. I think the PAX East demo I played quite a while ago had a similar sort of limitation.
Shall we rest for a while?
So this is the last rest point before you can get up towards the boss. Those of you may remember, again, this is like the fire ice boss lady. We're going to level up to level 8. You can definitely do a little bit more grinding in the demo if you need it.
We will seek out and find our victims. It's wise to be prepared.
So this isn't my first attempt. This is my second attempt. I don't want to spoil what happened the first time. So there, this is the Blade Bearer. If you completely unlocked all of the bosses in the network test, you had an opportunity to fight her. Decent fight. Starts off using a bunch of ice attacks. One interesting thing to note, like, I'm getting 2 points of energy per hit on her. So if you were used to something like a Dark Souls or any other slow combat-based game, realize that, especially as you're fighting the bosses, you're going to be getting many, many opportunities to keep up your buffs, special combo attacks, everything like that and in between. Which is different. I mean, that's really, if there's one major twist outside of just having a little AI companion here who's willing to help out, it is the fact that you'll be using active combat, active spell, active buff-like abilities continually through fights. And they're not stingy with it at all. Okay, so we finished through phase 1 fairly cleanly. Here's the beginning of phase 2. This is when she decides to pull out fire attacks as well. Of course, I'm trying to manage my stamina well. Stamina is just that flat white bar just above my life bar. So you can see in like one combo, I was basically destroyed. So when you're taken out, assuming that it's not on a cooldown and that your AI companion has life to give you, you can actually be brought back to life. Which is what, I think it's Io, my companion right now. She's the girl you find in the beginning of the game. Some people will probably find that mechanic a little too forgiving. All I know is that I felt very frustrated at times in various Dark Souls games being killed and only needing one more hit to kill the boss. So, in as much as you can make it a little bit more casual, I guess that's kind of a nice thing to do. That's the end of the boss. So that's the footage I'm going to show you guys for now. I think that's probably the cleanest run I've had of the game. Single sword style definitely looks good, has some really good abilities around it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Thank you everyone over at Bandai Namco for allowing me to take this footage. You guys are great. They had one of the best booths at E3 by far. Really great setup. They had an entire space set up for people that were able to go in and record footage as long as they had pre-registered with them ahead of time. Really nice. Wish every company at E3 should do something similar. It's a great way to make sure that you get footage of your games out to people if you're going to be on a show floor. Okay, so that's it for now. More videos coming out soon. I've got a video on Rad I might do, so if you guys want to see footage on Rad, upcoming game, I think it's being in connection with Double Fine. Between Double Fine and Bandai Namco, it's coming out. Kind of an over-the-head, isometric, roguelike type game. I think I've got a decent run there, so I'll probably put it out, but especially if you want to see it, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, until next time, this is Shepard saying good luck, and have a good hunt.